I think Kevin's about with this whole Peace Day thing, promoting ethnic and cultural equality. I like that, because what does that really mean? I think if you think about ethnic, well, our different ethnicities that we have and our different cultures, and we're on the campus of U of M where we have such a great mixture of people from all over the world that are on this campus. And how many people just kind of stick with their own cliques and what's comfortable and they just feel like, this is the kind of people that I'm comfortable being around, and I don't really want to know these other people over there. So they have a great opportunity while they're here to explore other cultures and to get to know other people from all over the world, and yet people will just kind of want to stick with their comfort zone or what is familiar. Well, how do you really learn from other cultures, and how do you get past the fear, the trepidation that we have inside us that we want to shun other people away from us because we don't understand them? Well, Peace Day is all about saying, well, you know what, we're all earthlings here, first and foremost. We did not ask to be here when we got here. We didn't ask to be a certain gender, a certain color. We just arrived. And we are earthlings first and foremost. Before we're Americans, before we're gay, straight, Republican, Democrat, before we're Christian, Jew, all of this. We are earthlings first and foremost. And as earthlings, isn't the important thing to remember that we're all different, and love is the one thing that I think that we have most powerful about all of us in common. We all bleed red, we all cry the same tears. So the important thing to remember about a day like this is what this celebrates is people's willingness in their hearts to come together and look beyond our differences and to realize that there are things that make us in common. And Kevin now has known me for about 7 years, and we met at this Mankind Project thing, and we got these animal names, and so I have been called Poetic Lion. I want to bring up here Mr. Larry Hopkins. It's my girlfriend's younger brother, ladies and gentlemen. Yay! Woo! This is little Larry here. And in meeting Larry, met my girlfriend a couple months ago, but in meeting Larry, it just kind of made me think about fatherhood and that kind of thing. I've never been a father. And young Larry here, he lost his father last December. And I think about, how males are raised in America and in other parts of the world to shun any type of femininity within them because they think that's a bad thing. And what do we associate with femininity? We associate homosexuality or something like that. But you know what femininity is? It's really our ability to connect with our emotions on a level a lot of women seem to understand, but men don't get it because we're taught to be macho, masculine. We have to be strong, and so we're supposed to not cry as men, right? So I wrote a poem about that because I got to thinking about how this is taught from father to son for generations. This poem is called The Start. So I kind of think of this like if Larry was my son, this is what I would want to say to him. This is the start. Don't you cry, you're my little man, says the father to his son. In that moment, the boy's life changes. A misconception has begun. From that time forward, an image begins to form. Inside a soul, confusion reigns, so begins the storm. The boy grows up hiding from himself, trying to become his dad. He hides behind humor or anger when he's truly sad. He'd like to be himself if only he knew who that was. He defines himself through accomplishment. He is what he does. The tears shed in secret he'd like so much to share. He searches all around him. He wants someone to care. But he doesn't want to face or reveal his weakness, so he retreats. It's because I'm a man, he states, and then the cycle then repeats. Throughout history, mankind has been cruel to kind men. The craft sword has been mightier than the caring pen. But the spirit of hope and compassion is in each new birth. Let your little boy weep and begin a brand new earth. It's okay to be tender, it's all right to cry. You can be a strong man, yet not harm a fly. More knowledge, bigger muscles, but what of the heart? Tell your treasured son it's okay to cry. That is the start. One more quick one here. and this is it kind of goes along also with the message of this day, is that when somebody believes in us, when we don't believe in ourselves, that can inspire us to want to be better people. And a long time ago, Kevin seen things in me that I didn't even really see in myself, and that's what I think is amazing about Kevin, you know, that he can see that, and that inspired me, which then in turn made me want to inspire others. And that's that pay it forward thing that people can develop within them, to desire to make a difference, to live at peace in this world. And where he's behind a U.S. Department of Peace and its development, I think that's awesome. We have a Defense Department, but why don't we have a U.S. Department of Peace? Now, this poem here was written, a very dear friend of mine that I used to play chess in math class with, named Ross Hammond. On prom night, he decided to park his car in his garage and run the motor and end his life on prom night. And he was rejected in society for many reasons, because he was poor and he was overweight, his hygiene wasn't good, but he had a dear and sweet soul, and I always remembered him. And so, after I heard that he had passed away, I read this poem about him. The poem is called Goodbye, Ross Hammond. I'm going to sit while I do this, too. Goodbye, Ross Hammond. Okay. Words fly like stray bullets, wounding the soul. No one really knew when they take their toll. You had no crucial part, played no social role. Being accepted was your ultimate goal. You were ostracized because you were fat and poor, so you turned on the engine and closed the garage door. Are there clicks in the ever after on that ethereal plane? Why do people socially select who matters? Are we all just insane? I too took part of your rejection, even though I knew how you felt. Some people cannot deal with the hands they're dealt. You were only one social notch beneath me. I was too concerned about myself to really care or see. Through the years, your face has crossed my mind. Peering over the chessboard in math class, your eyes were so kind. I tried to overcome your weight and your unwashed hair, but in our popular culture, you were a friend I would not wear. Forgive the thoughtless hearts, including mine. We lived in a cold generation, a selfish time. You desired to fit in, but was not allowed to mime. Being poor and unattractive was your only crime. Now you're dead and gone behind the wheel of your car. You breathed in the fumes and became a shooting star. No more cruel names and gossip to endure. You are free. I wish I could tell you, Ross, you are remembered by me. Woo! Somebody taking their own life, you know, because they get pushed aside and they don't consider themselves important to people. And this is the first person in my life that I really cared deeply about that did that. And then there was another young man named Ben Meyer. A 22-year-old homosexual young man who felt that his father would not love him being the way he was. And his father could not accept him in his sexuality. So Ben struggled for several years trying to believe in himself and love himself. And eventually he decided to overdose on medication and end his own life. And Danny, a friend of mine down here, had discovered his body in our basement of our house. This happened 3 years ago in August. And Ben was 22 years old, and he felt that he could not find the love in this world that he sought. And I think what a tragic thing right there, when we have amazing, beautiful souls out there, and people, they do that, they just give up. So I think that as loving people and as earthlings, we ought to keep our eyes open for that. For anybody around us that may ever decide to do that, we need to show them that extra special amount of love. Because we have those opportunities where we can just do, even if it's just a smile and a pat on the back, it can make a huge difference. The smallest gestures can make a big difference in each other's lives. So that's why I came here today. I hope that something I said touched somebody here. And that you think about that and that you spread joy in this world and love. Thank you. God bless.
I am 14 years old and have probably experienced some of the most rough things that you can think of. I lost my mother when I was 11 years old, and that was a pretty tough thing for me. Because I was a greedy little kid. I was spoiled. I would get whatever I want just because I would sit in the middle of Village Market and say, "No, I want it. Yes. So, I got my way. That all changed on that day. She passed away, and that was the first time I had ever seen my dad cry. The first time I had ever seen most of my family members cry. It was an unexpected thing. She was only in her 40s, and she died. It was an emotional toll for me. I'm not much of a crier, but I cried that day. I'm sure most of you would if you lost your parents at such an early age. And as of recently, as he said, I did lose my father in December. That was another big thing for me. But in the 3 years that I lived with my father, I grew to know him and love him as I did my mom. There were things that my father would do when Mom was around. He would call me a crybaby. He would make fun of me, raise his fist in the air, and I would think he would hit me or something. He used to terrify me. I was so close to my mom, and then she left, and I was all alone with my dad, who had already been crippled himself. And for 3 years, I watched that man turn from a jolly man into a lying 70-pound body in a hospice bed in our living room. And I remember the day that I walked in, saw his jaw completely open, his face decapitating, and his corpse there. That memory will be in my mind, as will all the other bad ones, but I think of the good. I think of the good memories that I had, the good things that we shared, the good things with my mom and my dad. I think of all those. You know, I'm only 14 years old, only 14. I'm pretty mature for my age, if I say so myself. There are kids who don't appreciate the things that I do. I look at the little things. I'm interested in history. I'm interested in politics. I'm a little president. I get involved in things that other kids don't, and I try to lighten people's day. I am a Christian man. As of recently, I gave myself to God. It's going to be a rough life for me. I live with my aunt and uncle, and they both are Christians as well. Never have I seen my Uncle Tom cry, except for the 2 weeks ago that I gave myself to the Lord, and he cried. And you know, I just wanted to come up here today, and because Shawn brought me here. Shawn, come up here for a minute. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here.
No way you're 14.
I am 14. I'm 14.
That's my little brother. I am 43. I am.
No way.
My dad was in his 60s. 62.
62.
And my mother was in her 40s. My sister, she was also affected by all this. And Shawn.
Aw.
Thank you. I'm so appreciative right now. I just try to talk to people and to get them to know what I've been through. And maybe it'll speak to them. Being a 14-year-old kid, going through all this, being a Christian who has given himself to the Lord. After all of this, some people will turn away and say, no, I'm done. You killed my parents. I'm done. No. And I say, thank you for the new path.
Right. Amen.
Thank you for the new path that you have given me. I don't mean to sound this in a bad way, but if my parents were still around, I wouldn't even, you know, I didn't really pay attention to the Lord. I didn't pay attention to any of that. And I know some people around here, I do not judge on anything you believe. If you are homosexual, if you are black, Jewish, bi, I don't care. You are all amazing to me. And you are all great, and I want you to know that. I know. Just, I'm in my clothes. All I wanted to say is, I love you all, God bless, and I hope that I touched some people out there. Thank you.
Woo! All right, Larry.